Cancer, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and asthma are all examples of non-communicable diseases, and sadly, these diseases are the leading cause of death globally. But do they really affect us here in Africa? And are Africans really living with these diseases? Find out here at the African NCD Champions podcast as we share incredible stories of Africans living with non-communicable diseases. My name is Ogweno Stephen and I'll be your host. Let's roll!
All right, thank you very much for joining us today. And our conversation today is primarily around COVID-19, mental health, what your experiences as someone who either lived with COVID-19 or someone who took care of people living with COVID-19 and also lives with non-communicable diseases. But without further ado, let's do a bit of introductions. Give us a detailed introduction of yourself, who you are, what you do. Let's hear it.
Yes, so I am Maryanne Njuguna, and I'm a person living with a rare sleep condition called narcolepsy, of which it all about revolves around the brain's inability to regulate sleep and wake patterns. So you find I struggle with keeping awake for a long period of time during the day, and also cataplexy attacks. Okay, we have, as a person living with narcolepsy, we have daytime symptoms and nighttime symptoms. So during the day, I experience like short bouts of sleep where I get sleep attacks, and then cataplexy if someone says something funny, and then it triggers some paralysis. And then during the night, sometimes we have like staying awake when I'm supposed to be asleep, like
it's the reverse now.
The reverse during the day. Yeah, and also sleep paralysis when I'm about to wake up. So apart from narcolepsy here in Kenya, I'm a co-founder of Narcolepsy Africa Foundation, where it's a group formed, patient-led group with parents or people living with narcolepsy and other sleep disorders. Yes.
Interesting. So let's talk about this attack that has a difficult name.
Yes.
Give us more details.
Okay. The sleep attack narcolepsy.
Yes, there is what is this name you just said? Okay, you just said, but yes, about the sleep attacks and the paralysis and what comes from excitement, like give us a bit more flesh.
Yes. Now, if a joke caught me off guard, or not even hearing a joke, me trying to tell a joke, just the thought of the joke makes my body crumble. I get my knee buckle. I lose balance, and then my mouth, like when I'm trying to express myself, my jaw like starts slacking, and then it takes more time, or even like it takes the joy out of the joke, because being a happy person and trying to express jokes, it's very contradicting. So narcolepsy is a very like the symptoms are very contradicting. Yes.
It's very contrasting. Like when you're sad, happy feelings, and then when you want to sleep, it's when you feel awake. Okay, interesting. Yes. What is the extent of narcolepsy in the country? Like, how many people, for example, have you met who live with similar conditions? And even yourself, when you discovered you had the condition, how was it like? How did your parents take it, for example?
Yes. So it all started when I was 14 years old. I was new in high school, and then I used to like fall asleep in class. Not only in class, okay, like a typical day, I will wake up in the morning, like 5 minutes after I've woken up. I could, that urge to go back to sleep could start from there. So you find that, and now what was now unusual is, like if I was, for example, brushing my teeth, I would fall asleep while brushing my teeth. If we were taking breakfast, just that fraction of a second from lifting up a cup to me sipping the tea, I would fall asleep like in between, midway. So I will either burn myself or pour hot tea on myself. Those like were the first red flags when I was at home. And maybe while preparing lunch, I remember like this one day, we were all watching a movie as a family, and I was the one preparing lunch. So I was cutting onions, and then now the sleep attack caught me like off guard. So my dad came checking because the onion were burning, and the other half of the onion I was struggling to cut. And then I think that's how they saw like sikujifanya, like it just came naturally. So I was told to go and rest. And then at school, it was like a ripple effect from me not being able to to go to school on time because of now feeling asleep just after waking up, and I was in day school, high school. So I could get to school late and then now get punished because of being late. Either we were told to cut grass or run around the field. So it was extremely hard because the urge of sleep never went away. So I would fall asleep while either cutting grass or running, of which I ended up hurting myself. And then by the time I get to class, now the urge of sleep is now very heavy. So prep time, I didn't do like anything constructive. If parade follows, I would fall asleep while standing, which was another red flag because no one does that. And then homework, most of the time they were incomplete. Even taking simple notes, I'm unable to take notes for a long time because I fall asleep. I fell behind reading like literature, like because when I start reading, it comes. So the ripple effect of that is that even during exams, I will either fall asleep during exams and not complete the examination, or while writing down high school like the theories, when I fell asleep, it would all I will do. So I will lose marks. Even the little I have gained, the teachers deducted because my work was not either complete, it's not orderly. Yeah, so I would lose the little marks I got. So when I got to Form 4, that was in 2007, I remember I fell asleep during titration in chem. So during titration, that span of a second of siphoning the acid, I remember what woke me up. Like I was awake when I was siphoning, but now the sleep attack came, and then I burnt myself with acid. So that is like the pros and cons. Yeah.
Sleeping with
narcolepsy. Yes. In the midst of all that, my parents tried getting help for me. So I went through a series of misdiagnoses from doctors. I've had doctors telling me to my face that msichana hataki kusoma, telling my mom she should just say if she wants to quit school because hii ni kujifanya, because all my medical record, the history, the tests came out fine. So it reached to a point when my mom told me that you just continue with the high school because I can see, like, as a family, you can see you really want to study, and whatever comes, then we'll deal it later. So that was in 2007. So in 2008, that's when I got a breakthrough. When it was, God works in mysterious way. So we came across a psychiatrist who was doing a session, a prep session, and then he saw me dozing off, and he got like alikasirika, akasema, and he pointed me out and told me to stand and repeat what he has just said. So I stood, I answered his question, and he told me to sit, because that's now the other thing with narcolepsy. I can be dozing off, but I am aware of what is. Yes. So the first break, I approached the psychiatrist and told him that this is what I've been through ever since I was in Form 1. I also showed him my jotter book, because now me being unable to take notes, I only had one jotter book, and then it had all the scribbles, and then sometimes I could like circle and like shame on me, like, because I shame myself. So I showed him, and then at a glance he took like a very brief history, and then asked me like who do I live with, and he asked me to come with my mom to see him, and that is like was the breakthrough when now like he advised my mom to take me to Kenyatta National Hospital, and he never told my mom what was the name of the clinic. He just gave her a clinic number. So we were supposed to wait until I finished my KCSE and go there. And when we went there, we found out it was a department of mental health. And this is the other aspect where the now rare condition meets mental health, because when we reached at the clinic, my mom was very skeptical for me going in because of the society.
Stigma associated with mental health.
Yes, so my mom akasema, I can't speak in Swahili.
Yeah, you can mix it up.
So my mom was like, wow, like,
it's not happening.
This is not happening. Of all the places you've taken me, like in this country, hajawahi peleka mtu kwa, like, sasa she clearly nini akaniambia wewe si mwenda wazimu na uendi kuona, like we are not going through with this. Nikamwambia sasa, nikashindwa ni nini, because it was a journey of 5 long years without me being diagnosed. And then this time around, the doctor we talked to was so sure that I could get assisted if I go through this clinic. So what I had to convince my mom, like, and if we go in there, I will not take any medicine. Sitakubali wanidunge, twende tu tusikie kenye tutaambiwa, and then we'll be on our way. And then it took a while because we had to negotiate. And then my mom told me, I don't disclose too much to the doctor, because I think my mom was fearful. Yes. Again. And yeah. So I'm glad that we went. We went in there. That's where now, like the doctors there took, like, now compared to the other doctors, they took a long history from the time I was conceived to where I am right now, because I remember my mom was the one answering most of the question, how my childhood was. And then we were told to go for an EEG. By then, EEG were not common. So we had to wait for 3 months for me to be, to get to wait for my turn, and that is when it shows the inconsistency of my brain waves. That I was like, from being awake, I would like skip the normal cycles of sleep, and that's how I was diagnosed. So it was a journey of this diagnosis.
So your circadian rhythm was distorted.
Yes.
And that's how they knew.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So that is how that is experienced normally. What was the experience like during the pandemic, during COVID-19? Everybody's at home, there is quarantine, there is masks, there is things you can't do, there's things you can do. What was the experience like during COVID-19?
Okay, it was bittersweet because at this particular time I could take like more intentional naps. So the need for me to use medication like went down compared to the normal life. So I considered it like a blessing in disguise. So having work from home, like it gave me the flexibility that I needed to finish my tasks compared in a normal working environment. So it was a blessing in disguise. Then came the time we were supposed to wear masks. So that was quite challenging because you know when you wear a mask, the warmth that is on your face. So if I had to go somewhere, I had more sleep attacks. So it reached to a point I asked myself, is this narcolepsy? Or is this okay? So that was like the downside compared to it. And then the other challenge was medication. So somehow accessing medication was hard because they ran and they were out of stock, and the only place that I could find medication, the price had shot up. So yeah, the other thing about during the COVID-19, I had to like obey the like going out when I really need to, because the fear of unknown. I live with a rare condition, and like from the experience that the narcolepsy world had from H1N1 vaccine, guys were skeptical because H1N1 had links to trigger narcolepsy. So this now we have COVID and we need to get vaccinated. So I was the last one to get vaccinated because my family told me, like from everyone else, I was not supposed to go. You need to
wait, you have to be extra keen.
Yes. So I was told, like, if it is really like important for you to go out, then go. But I obeyed like what the CS was telling us. I stayed at home, keeping distance and everything. Yeah.
Like otherwise, you have to stay at home throughout. Interesting. What have you seen that, especially people now in your association or group, what was the experience during the pandemic, especially when it came to access to medication, access to care? What are their stories there?
Yes, they were, because the multiple sleep attacks that we experienced during the day, it's sort of like it's a competitive world. So business had to shut down. So like if employees were to be retained, they could we would like we will single suffer, because we are either unable to complete multiple tasks during the day, or like the power of multitasking or doing several things at a go. So we were at a disadvantage. So most of people in our group, like job losses did not like favor them, because most of them they really and then now my story is a bit positive, because I've always had my family support. So you see, like when people were locked in, and when you don't have like family support, your mental health can be really bad, because having your own people, the people that should be like your number one support system, having look down upon you and so wengi wao morale ilikuwa chini, because like it's stigma from outside does not really hurt that much.
Like stigma
from people
inside,
who know, yeah.
people you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. So, have we learned from the pandemic? As you know, people living with narcolepsy, have we had an experience? What are the lessons that we pick from COVID-19?
COVID-19. I think it comes from within, like, all self-reliant, of which it's also it's hard because you find during COVID-19 most of the people who were able to were self-employed or had other skills, they found a way to survive. So I can say
if you didn't have skills, you are disadvantaged.
Yes. And then in regards to mental health, like when we speak about holistic treatment, most of the doctors out there, they are not like offering that. Whereby when it comes to mental health and self-esteem, believing in yourself and what you can do, it's I was exposed because like for me. In Kenyatta, we had that, where even my mom was told how she can be supportive of me. But you find that other patients who have been diagnosed never really had that like support, that prep talk, that there's more to life. The sense of self-belief was never there. So like the holistic approach when it comes to our health system should really be there.
Should be improved
as
a way to manage. All right. Last question. With all of this sort of experience and condition, what is the organization doing to ensure that a lot more people get to learn about narcolepsy and its effects? As per the moment, we are training now no patients living with narcolepsy to be their own advocates, and also the caretakers who are with us. And then, like from 2020 when COVID started, we've had the opportunity to be trained by Raising Voices of Narcolepsy, where they are raising advocates for people living with narcolepsy around the world to be able to educate the public on the same. So our organization, let's just say it was started to support mostly students and people who are being stigmatized at workplaces, because one thing we want to we are raising awareness on is that narcolepsy does not affect the intellectual capability of a person. It's just that we suffer a lot from brain fog, maybe lack of concentration, and now the sleep attacks does not make us lazy, because it's been like here in Kenya, it's been associated with witchcraft, and also like the religious people, they are saying there's that thing about religious, unaenda kuombewa nini mapepo ikutoke. So we like see mapepo, it's something that it's one cannot fake narcolepsy, because as I earlier explained. So it's like we are raising awareness however or wherever we can. So like when going to a new place, meeting new people, we are able, like when you're being to talk without being kuwa na aibu, without being shameful or fearful of the condition. All right. Thank you very much for that. That was a very interesting one, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily know about narcolepsy. And so I think a lot of people will learn from this experience.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming on board.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, and for agreeing to have this interview with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, all right. That's a wrap.
Now that was incredible. Thank you for listening in. Share this with your networks and follow us on all social media at Storylink and at NCD Champions. See you on the next one.